All right, guys, welcome to Solving Rational Expressions Part 2. This is the last example. I just put it on a separate video just to make sure that we had time to be as thorough as possible. So what I'd like you to do in a little bit is pause your video and try as much of this problem as you can. I want you to think about what the least common denominator is, multiply it through the entire equation. Again, just try the best you can. I will be back with you after you pause your video, and I'll go through it step by step. All right, guys, so I hope you tried as much as you could. What I did first was I noticed again that x squared minus 9 could be factored. So I rewrote the problem as x plus 3, x minus 3, and then I thought to myself, what is the least common denominator? Well, each fraction would need an x plus 3 and an x minus 3 in order to be combined together. So I said that my LCD was x plus 3, x minus 3. Something else I want to think about at the beginning is if we look at this second equation or second one in blue that I wrote down, I'm noticing that the x value in the end cannot equal -3 and also cannot equal +3. So I need to keep those options in mind. For the next step, we have the LCD. Let's multiply the entire equation by x plus 3, x minus 3. Now, some of you might want to skip the step I'm on and go directly to this step. Some of you can probably do more in your head. Again, because these are notes, I'm trying to be more thorough. What I'm going to do is distribute these to all the terms. So in red, I'm going to write LCD, and in blue, I'm going to write down the original terms. Minus, there's the LCD distributed again, times 1 over x minus 3 equals LCD distributed a third time in red, x plus 3, x minus 3 times 1. Okay, so for those that are very visual, you might want to consider writing it out each time so you can physically cross things out. The first term, some of you might notice that the x plus 3 and the x plus 3 and x minus 3 cross out. You're left with just 6 minus. In the second case, it looks like the x minus 3's cross out. You're left with 1 times x plus 3. Remember, the negative should be carried down, equals. Well, here, nothing seems to cross out because your denominator is 1. You're left with x plus 3 and x minus 3. So in terms of simplification, here's why I want to take step by step. There's a few little details. First of all, make sure you distribute a negative 1, not a positive 1. Subtraction and negative is one and the same. You'd have 6 minus 1x minus 3 equals, on the right side, this again looks like distribution or FOIL. So x squared plus 3x minus 3x minus 9. Let's simplify each side. We'd have negative 1x. These would combine to be plus 3 equals x squared. These would cross out to be 0x, so it would just be x squared minus 9. Now, because I see an x squared in the problem, I'm thinking factoring, which means we need to have one side equaling 0. So I'm going to move the negative 1x to the right and the 3 to the right. So I'm going to add the 1x and subtract 3. We'd have 0 equals x squared plus 1x. Subtract 3 from negative 9, you get negative 12. Because it's equal to 0, I'm going to continue factoring. Possible. Are there two numbers that multiply to be negative 12 and combine to be 1? Yes, 4 and 3. A positive 4 and a negative 3. So if I solve that, I'd get x equals negative 4 and x equals 3. But hold on a second. At the beginning of the problem, we said x cannot be positive 3 and cannot be negative 3, which means that we actually have an extraneous solution. We cannot have x equaling 3. So the only answer is x equals negative 4. You could also go back to the original problem, plug in 3 and see that it causes a denominator of 0. Of course, you could always plug negative 4 back in to see if it works. You could take negative 4 and plug it in every time you see x. If you do so, you would get each side equals 1. It's always a good idea to check. So being thorough is something very important for these problems. Again, there's some of you that may not need to write out this step here with all this work. I think sometimes there are fewer mistakes made if you're willing to write it out. So again, it is up to you. All right, guys, I hope this example has been helpful. Take your time on these problems and feel free to ask questions either tomorrow to your teacher or on the discussion board.